following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Well, good morning. How are you this morning? It is Wednesday. Yeah, I finally got the day of the week right. This is Adrian Kennedy, and between now and midday today, this is 98FM's Dublin Talks. If you want to get in contact with us during the show, it's very easy. All you do is send us a text or WhatsApp message or a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. But better still, call us on 6797 981. So let's have a taste of what's coming up on the programme today. US President Donald Trump is arriving in Ireland this afternoon. We'll be going live to Doonbeg in County Clare, where he has his little palace down there, and also talking to people who are staging a protest in Dublin tomorrow. Even though he's not coming to Dublin, there will be a protest in Dublin around O'Connell Street and the Garden of Remembrance tomorrow evening. We'll find out all about that. A little bit later on, we hear from a woman who's considering putting her 15-year-old daughter on the pill because her 15-year-old daughter asked her if she could go on the pill. But what do you do? Oh, yeah, and here's something I want to talk about a little bit later on. Sometimes my other half says the stupidest of things. We'll be finding out about your partner's blonde moments. Now, this isn't a slag on blondes, it's just an expression before you start getting touchy. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. All that and much more between now and midday today, and live from Dublin City Centre. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy. Now, as you know, the American President Donald Trump is due to arrive in Ireland this afternoon. He arrives into Shannon Airport. He goes to his lovely golf resort at Doonbeg, and he'll be staying there, and he's going to play golf, and then he heads off to France tomorrow. And anyway, a lot of people are not happy with the American president visiting this country at all, and we want to find out how you feel about this visit. Text or WhatsApp your opinion to 0877 98 98 98. Will you, for example, be joining or even supporting the protest that is taking place in Dublin tomorrow? If so, I would love to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp your opinion to 0877 98 98 98. Now, 98FM reporter Adrian Finnegan is in County Clare. Is the place on lockdown, Adrian?
Hi, Adrian. Yes, it is. It's very much on lockdown. There's really only one road into Doonbeg that is open, and that's the wrong side of Doonbeg, if you know what I mean. So you'd have to go around the houses if you wanted to go back towards Dublin. They have a Garda on every junction of every side road, every boreen. It is, I mean, there's multiples of them, and they won't reveal how many Gardaí are actually involved in the operation, but I mean, it certainly feels like, I've heard figures of up to 2,000.
Wow.
Now, because obviously you've got Shannon involved in that as well, but no way to confirm that, unfortunately, but certainly it feels like it could be true that I've never seen so many Gardaí in one place, and it's obviously the biggest.
Okay, now when does President Trump actually arrive into this country?
So he's due to touch down around 4:30 at Shannon. So, he might be late. We'll have to wait and see. But that's when his estimated arrival. He'll speak to Leo Varadkar for a little while. I'm actually not sure how long they'll talk for. It won't be long, though. And then after that meeting, they'll do a press conference with some reporters afterwards. Okay,
what's likely to be discussed at this brief meeting between the Taoiseach and President Trump?
Yeah, so I suppose it's important to kind of note it's not an official visit, if you know what I mean. This is just Trump coming to stay at his golf course. So it's not like when Barack Obama was here and he had the full tour of lots of different places. So it's not going to have the same diplomatic magnitude, I suppose, as a full state visit, but they're obviously going to talk about Brexit. That's something Leo Varadkar is going to want to bring up. He's also going to want to bring up the situation of E3 visas for the Irish in America. So basically the E3 visas is one that Australians are able to get and we can't, and it's easier and it's less costly, and you can bring a spouse with you over there. So Leo Varadkar will want to raise that. He'll bring up about he'll update Trump about the situation with the North and the Northern Assembly and how that links into Brexit, and how keeping an open border is really important. On the other side, it's expected that Donald Trump will bring up Huawei. So Huawei's effectively been blacklisted by the US. And, there's kind of been suggestions that, because this has kind of been hinted at in England as well, that if Huawei is involved in setting up the 5G network here, that, that could have implications for us, that maybe the US won't share certain intelligence with us because they think that Huawei is a proxy for the Chinese government to spy. So, there's no proof of that, but that is the sentiment from Washington. So that's likely to be brought up as well. So
he arrives, he has a brief meeting with the Taoiseach, and then he heads off to his golf course. And he heads off then to France for a couple of hours tomorrow for the D-Day celebrations or commemorations. And then he comes back to Doonbeg again tomorrow.
Yeah, so basically, this is like you and I going on a day trip somewhere, but his day trip is abroad. He's coming to stay. This is, where he's going to put his head down, have a shower, have his dinner, and maybe a round of golf. So he will be going over to France for those commemorations, but he's just kind of sleeping in Doonbeg, if you know what I mean. So we're not sure if he'll actually make a visit into the village. Obviously, the locals in Doonbeg hope he does. He's a lot of support there because he's the Trump organisation is such a big employer in the area. But no indication about whether he will. I spoke to Tommy Tuberty, who owns a bar on the main street in Doonbeg, and he has spoken to Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, because they would obviously be running the Trump organisation. So, and he has great dealings with them. By all accounts, there seems to be a lot of engagement with the Trumps and the local population. So, they have come into the village before, but we'll have to wait and see whether Donald Trump does. I mean, to be honest, it's unlikely, given how late he's going to be getting to Doonbeg. So
he is essentially... When does he actually leave then? He leaves on Friday. What time is he expected to leave at?
Not sure yet. The security arrangements are officially in place until Saturday morning. So if he leaves before then, they'll be lifted, obviously. So we don't know when he's departing. All right.
98FM reporter Adrian Finnegan down in Doonbeg in County Clare. Thanks very much indeed for talking to us. And Adrian was out and about last night talking to some locals. And here's what they said, both for and against the visit of President Trump.
We love this man. He's a great man. He's doing very well for Doonbeg.
You're willing to look past the kind of the misogyny and the
misogyny. Okay, he shouldn't be doing things like that. But he's in Doonbeg, and we appreciate that he's in Doonbeg. Misogyny, and I know what you're saying,
But is it him you like? Because I suppose if it wasn't him, it might be some other rich fella who owns the resort. I'm wondering, is it Trump specifically that you like, or is it just that somebody is in there providing employment for the community?
No. The reason we like Trump is because he's the President of America. And of course we like him. Why wouldn't we?
And what do you make of the presidential visit?
Well, if he's good for the country and he's good for the village, and that's what you want, and that's what you hope to get. He has a place here, and he gives the villagers work and all that, so that's good.
Well, there are plenty of good reasons to oppose Donald Trump, whatever way you look at it. His sexist rhetoric, his failure to protect minorities, his failure to condemn white supremacists, his opposition to any sanctuary being provided to refugees and asylum seekers, particularly from Muslim countries. But this protest today is specifically focused on two key issues. One is his ongoing support for militarization and military aggression around the world, and the other is his denial of climate change and his intent, it seems, on environmental destruction of the planet.
We know he has some personality quirks, should we say, but I think most of us think he's a great president. He stands up for America. I'm actually an ex-Brit, so I migrated to America 45 years ago, and I think he's an excellent president, and he's been right on so many issues, and he may even be right on Brexit.
And when you met him before, how did you find him?
You know, he's a tough businessman. Everybody knows he's a tough businessman, but I always found him fair to deal with, personally.
Okay, now there you go. That was Adrian Finnegan talking to people in Doonbeg in County Clare last night. Now let's come closer to home, and even though President Trump is not visiting Dublin, he's staying at his golf resort down in County Clare. He won't be in the capital. Yet a big protest is to be held tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock in Dublin city centre. John Molyneux is a committee member from Stop Trump Ireland. John, welcome to 98 FM.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Thank you for having me on.
John, what are you protesting about tomorrow?
Well, as was said by the people you were just talking to, the fact is that Trump is a racist, sexist, misogynist, warmonger, and he's destroying the planet. I could go on, but that's enough, I think. Right,
okay. Now, I see on Facebook pages 10 reasons to protest Trump. And, there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, you could run to 20 if you wanted to, but I think the most important things are that he is really a threat to the whole future of humanity. You see,
it's a fairly heavy statement.
But I mean it, and it is a factual statement. You see, the problem with climate change is if you just do nothing, we are heading for utter catastrophe for the whole human race. And Trump is doing worse than nothing. He's actually obstructing attempts to save the planet, attempts to deal with climate change, and he's a warmonger. I mean, to say he hasn't protected minorities, that somebody I think was said, is true, but it's much worse than that. For example, just last week, Trump threatened genocide of the people of Iran. He said he would obliterate Iran. He has built a wall to keep out, or he's trying to build a wall to keep out Mexicans. He's separating children from their parents at the border. The man is appalling. And, we really need some principles, I think, in this. And he's completely against the principles that I think the majority of Irish people stands for, and we need to stand up against him.
Okay, now, I don't know if you heard the Vox Pop from Doonbeg last night. A lot of people actually think, especially at that village down in County Clare, his organisation has provided great employment. It is they certainly don't despise him in the way in which you would.
Well, I think this argument about it creates local jobs can be used to justify absolutely anything, to be honest with you. Let's be clear. If it didn't serve Donald Trump's business interests, he wouldn't give a damn about the people of Doonbeg. He'd up sticks, off he'd go, and their jobs would be gone. He's only there because it serves his interests. And I think you could justify any monstrosity or atrocity on the grounds that it would provide local jobs.
Tell me a little bit about your planned protest tomorrow. And I'm interested because only today Donald Trump tweeted that the protests that were held in London yesterday, which were quite sizable, he described them as organised flops. Are we going to have an organised flop in Dublin tomorrow?
Well, the first thing he said, by the way, was that he didn't see any protests, which was just a lie. I mean, his first instinct was to say he only saw people welcoming him. He didn't see the protests. So he tweets these things. He says, organised flop. I mean, he's just insulting. Anybody who challenges him, his response is to insult them. We are not going to see an organised flop. We didn't see an organised flop in London. We saw a mass protest, as you said. There were protests all over the country, and there will be a big protest in Dublin tomorrow. I'm sure of that.
Okay, here's what he actually said on Twitter a couple of hours ago. I kept hearing that there would be massive rallies against me in the UK, but it was quite the opposite. The big crowds, which the corrupt media hates to show, were those that gathered in support of the USA and me. They were big and enthusiastic.
His inauguration crowd was the biggest crowd in the history of the world. You know, this is just Trump. This is just lies and it's nonsense.
Okay, so what is planned for tomorrow evening? And more importantly, John, what is the point, considering he's here anyway, he's going to stay in his golf resort, and he's going to head off? And any protest that you hold tomorrow evening will make no difference to that.
The first thing, what is planned, we are rallying at the Garden of Remembrance at 6 o'clock tomorrow. We will probably march down O'Connell Street and back round to the GPO through the city centre. The point of this is to send a message to the peoples of the world that Trump is not welcome here, and that the people of Ireland reject Trump's policies and his values. I repeat, the whole future of humanity is at stake in this. And one of the organisations supporting our protest was Extinction Rebellion, for example. We've got lots of climate change groups involved. We've got the Irish anti-war movement involved. We've got lots of different organisations, Unite the Trade Union involved. So we're bringing together all sorts of people to say that Trump is not welcome here. It is not actually a question of whether it influences him personally. It's sending a message to the peoples of the world and the people
of Ireland. You believe, or you claim that you represent the views of the majority of the Irish people in terms of protesting against President Trump. You say tomorrow's protest is to show the world that even though he may be on our soil, he's not welcome. That's the message you want to get out. And how many would you hope will be joining your protest tomorrow?
Well, one would hope for as many as possible. So, and one doesn't know, you don't know before you organise this how many people will come. But I'm confident we'll have thousands of people. Okay.
Let me bring in some calls on this. Our telephone number is 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. Stephen is in Tullamore in County Offaly. Stephen, welcome to 98 FM.
Oh yeah, Adrian, how are you?
Good, thank you, Stephen. This protest in Dublin tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock at the Garden of Remembrance is to show the world that Trump is not welcome here. What did you want to say on this?
Yeah, basically, they haven't a clue about him if they're going there protesting about him. They believe in everything that the media is obviously saying about him. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous.
No, you're grand.
I haven't read it before. I just, like, he called him a racist, a misogynist, all this stuff. And you won't hear that man proving any of that. I've looked up everything about Donald Trump on YouTube. I can't find him being racist once. I don't see him being a misogynist. He has helped all the minorities in America. I think he's doing a fantastic job. And I've looked it all up. And you hear all the media saying all this, but they never back it up with proof.
Okay, but there was the example that was well trotted out of his misogyny when he was talking about grabbing a woman by the pussy, if you remember. And, you know, it was fairly in your face and not very presidential. Now, it was said years ago before he was president, but still, it just shows the sort of man he kind of is. And that's the sort of thing that people have a huge issue with.
That one statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
it was the way in which it was even said.
Yeah, well, I can see why people have that, but like ever since he's been called a misogynist, he made one mistake. I still don't see how you can consider him a complete misogynist for making one mistake. He said one bad thing. We've all said things we wish we didn't say.
Okay, what about climate change and the fact that he denies that climate change is even a thing?
Yeah, I'm completely with. I'm with him on that. I don't think it's a thing. It's like, I think it was 20 years ago we were told that we had 13 years before it'd be too hot to live, and all the lakes in America were supposed to disappear after 13 years, about 15 years ago I think it was. And I'm not exactly sure on the exact statistics, but Al Gore started all this a long, long time ago, and none of the stuff he ever said has ever come to pass.
Okay, so there are two things. You don't think he's misogynistic. You don't think that, or you agree with him on climate change. And Pádraig, I have to come back to you for, John, I have to come back to you for a second and say that, firstly, Stephen's comments, but another message that's just come in. This man is not speaking for Ireland, and it's not up to him who is welcome in Ireland. Spreading propaganda and lies on the radio is all he's good for. Trump is welcome. So what do you say to that message and to what Stephen is saying?
Well, to the first caller that you had, I'm afraid he's confused. First of all, on the question of climate change, it is the report from the IPCC, the Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change, which is all the collective wisdom of the scientists of the world is expressed in, predicts that from now on we have 12 years in order to turn the situation round. He's just confused about the predictions and so on. And it is not just a question of media prediction. You can see the weather changing around the world. You just look at Australia,
weather and climate is two different things.
And so on. But you can...
Sorry, say that again, Stephen. Weather and climate are two different things.
Different things. Of course they are. But the climate is the average, and the average temperatures of the globe are rising. He said, I'm afraid your caller just...
Yeah, we're coming over an ice age still.
The facts on this are the comment about misogyny I disagree with completely. Trump was caught out once. I have no doubt that was his standard form of behaviour. Right, he just got caught out once. It wasn't just one statement. The argument about it, you can always say that what your opponents are saying are lies and propaganda and so on. But it is not a question of just reading things in the mainstream media. It is Trump's actual policies, Trump's racist policies towards Mexicans. Trump himself said that the Mexicans who come are all rapists and criminals.
No, he didn't. That's
Trump
right.
implemented a policy on the border of separating children from their parents.
Obama implemented that.
The fact that Obama may have done bad things doesn't excuse Trump. I am not a supporter of Barack Obama. The person who is coming to Ireland is Trump, and it is Trump we are protesting against.
Okay, look, I need to take a very quick break, but John, stay with me for 1 second. Pádraig, I'll come to your call in a second. And John, and I'd love to hear from you on 6797981. Will you be joining this protest tomorrow at the Garden of Remembrance? Let's have a listen to these WhatsApp voice notes.
People have a right to protest and all, yeah, but what are they actually protesting over? And what is it going to achieve? It's not even going to be in Dublin tomorrow. Just people who have nothing better to do than to go out marching on the streets against Trump. It was voted in fairly by the American people, and if I'm being honest, I think he'll be actually voted in again if he runs again. Absolute nonsense. Go and get a proper job and do something useful tomorrow. Clowns.
Okay, and another WhatsApp note.
Hey Adrian, I was just wondering there, does President Trump have to be screened when he lands in the airport, or does he have to go through security, or like what way is it, or is he just allowed freelance into the country whatever he wants? Just a thought there. Cheers.
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to it, but it's a good question. We're back in a sec.
98FM's
Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less.
98FM.
American President Donald Trump is arriving in Ireland later on this afternoon. He's due to touch down in Shannon Airport at about 4:30. He'll meet with the Taoiseach and then he'll head off to his resort at Doonbeg. Tomorrow he's heading off to France for a couple of hours to go to the D-Day commemorations, and then he's coming back again. He'll play a round of golf and have his dinner. And that's about the size of it. There isn't really that much more to his visit. Yet protests are being held down at Shannon Airport and tomorrow here in Dublin at the Garden of Remembrance. And that's what we're talking about. Do you support this protest in Dublin tomorrow? Here's another WhatsApp voice note.
To be honest, I think Leo Varadkar is worse than Donald Trump and any other politician that has been in charge in this country. Trump says as it is. Every other president of America... Every other president of America went by the book. He's going against the grain. Hands up to him. He's a good man. Fair play to him. I like him. I don't like Varadkar.
Okay, there you go. Pádraig, you're on 98FM. How are you, Pádraig?
Good morning, Adrian.
Yeah, Porrick, what did you want to say on this?
But first of all, Mr. Trump, Donald J. Trump, to give him his full title, is very welcome in our country. It's a pity this guy's got more charisma. Our leaders, Varadkar, May, and Macron, they all had personality bypasses. This guy is box office. He's brilliant. He's a great leader. He'll go down as one of the greatest American presidents of all time. The economy is flying. And as we speak, I'll be in transit shortly. Myself and 15 of my friends are heading down to see Mr. Trump in Clare. If we even get a glimpse, we don't really care. Hopefully we might bump into a few left-wingers like Boyd Barrett down there. But at the end of the day, like I said, the man is very welcome. He's a businessman. As regard his... Look at... They call him a misogynist, Adrian. This man surrounded himself with women that worked for him. What he said, on your average stag do, you would hear a lot worse. And all these left-wingers, these Mother Teresas, what they really... They call people like Trump fascists, where really the left-wingers are the fascists. Because if you don't agree with them, Adrian, they will say, no, you are not allowed to say that. You cannot say this. So we really know who the fascists are. It's not the right-wing patriots like me, Adrian, and the 15 guys that's going with me shortly. It's that English guy you had on previous, and all our Boyd Barrett, Breed Smith, the usual suspects. And like I said, if we had a guy of this man's calibre running our country, or Nigel Farage, real patriots, real strong men, then we would be much better off.
John, I'll let you get in there. There's a man who's heading down to County Clare today, hoping to get a glimpse of the Donald. What do you say to that? And I have to be honest, John, I'll tell you what I've noticed this morning compared to previous times we've discussed President Trump, is attitudes towards him here in Ireland changing somewhat.
Well, I don't think you can judge by your callers. The last caller, if you listen to him, was clearly an extreme right-wing person. Would
you describe yourself, Porrick, as extreme right-wing?
I'm sure he wouldn't.
Well, actually, do you know what makes me laugh? This is typical from the left-wingers, like the left-wing traitors. I consider myself a patriot. And by the way, Adrian, there would be no need for right-wing people whatsoever if it wasn't for these left-wing fascists, open border merchants that are demographically trying to destroy our birthright across Europe, the West. Now, these people, let them all in brigade. Boyd Barrett, Smith, Coppinger, I could go on, and that clown you have on the other line.
Right, John.
Well, apart from the fact that your caller is incapable of debating without insulting everybody, anybody who knows politics will know that you are hearing an extreme right-wing person speak. All the code words were there, all the business about open borders, all the business about replacement of the Irish people, all the business about being a patriot and so on. That was very, very clear. And I want to make a couple of other points. I want to come back to the point about protesting in Dublin and jobs. I've noticed that some people, whenever you protest about anything, people say, why don't you get a job? Right. One of the reasons why we're protesting in Dublin, as well as supporting the protest at Shannon, is so that people who work can also take part. And the large majority of the people who are protesting at 6 o'clock after work will be people with jobs. This is just a way of insulting people you don't agree with. And I think we have to come back to the issues. The key issues are he's a racist, he's a sexist, and he's threatening the planet, and he's a warmonger. Those are the keys. None of these things are in the interests of the people of Ireland. They're not even in the interests of the majority of people in America. You remember, he was not elected by a majority of the people in America.
Well, that is the American political system now, let's be honest. He wouldn't be the first president not to win the public vote.
That's true. He didn't win the public vote, but also, you look at it, only less than 25% of the American people actually voted for him, and there's mass movements against Trump in America itself, and we stand in solidarity with those people.
Okay, let me bring in some more calls on this. Michelle Byrne is the USI Vice President for Campaigns. The USI, the Union of Students of Ireland, are co-hosts for tomorrow's protests. Michelle, welcome to 98 FM.
Hi, how are you doing?
What's the point of this protest tomorrow, Michelle?
Well, there's a massive point behind it. It's 30 organisations standing together who stand for human rights, who stand for environmental causes, anti-racism, anti-war, LGBT rights, women, equality and migrant rights. And it's people coming together to show that we will not stand for the incitement of hate or for someone who does so on Irish soil. I suppose from our angle, USI, one of our core goals is the defence and promotion of human rights. And what would it say to our student members, if they didn't seem like they were supported, what does it say to our student members who fall into any of those minority groups who he's attacked if we leave this uncalled for? So we will be standing alongside all of those human rights groups calling for to stop Trump. This isn't even a state visit, and it's costing us 10 million. And some of the other things that we work on, including like housing, education, healthcare, we could do a 10 million going to any of those, and we campaign for them on a regular basis. And yes, Trump decides to pop over to his golf course, and the taxpayer has to foot the 10 million euro bill. It's crazy when you think of it like that.
Okay, but what will be achieved, if you like, by having this protest? It's not going to call off the visit. It's not going to see him hop on his plane and go home. He will be here for as long as it's planned for him to be here.
It's for every single person who has been, every minority group who has felt his hate, to know that there are people standing with them and that will not stand for him and what he says. It's for the people who are affected by his anti-choice comments, for his racist comments, for his religious discrimination comments, for his misogyny, for his comments on rape culture. It's for all of the people who've been affected by his comments and by him coming to Ireland, to know that there's people here in Ireland willing to stand for them, and that they do not accept that those comments can be left unchecked.
Okay, so in terms of support, he described yesterday's protests in London on Twitter just a couple of hours ago as organised flops. Are we going to have an organised flop in Dublin?
Absolutely not. Even with the fact that there is so much online support already, it's not an organised flop. If people are getting that messages and seeing the messages of people standing in solidarity with people who've been affected by his comments and his actions, then that's not a flop at all. I think that the fact that 30 organisations have already put their name to the Stop Trump Coalition is saying something in itself, and actually disseminating that amongst their members, it's already after reaching a lot of people, and people know that we do stand in solidarity with them during this visit.
Okay, stay there for a second. Let me go to John and Donabate. John, you will be protesting by yourself tomorrow. What do you mean by that?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, John, yeah.
Yeah, definitely won't be protesting.
Oh, you won't be protesting?
Definitely not, no.
Why not?
I reckon that guy that you had on first, John himself, he'll be protesting by himself. Look, I wouldn't be the major big fan of Trump. He's a bit out there at times with some of his stuff, but like some of the stuff that they're calling protest, like some of the stuff that he's saying, like where does he get the facts? Like Trump has never started a war, not like George Bush and Obama and all them. Like the wars that they've put their country through, like I just I'm not a fan of this protesting for Donald Trump being here. Like let him be here. So what? Like nobody cares. He's going to be in and out and gone before anybody even realises.
Okay, so in terms of this protest tomorrow, Michelle, can I ask you, I know this is like asking how long is a piece of string, how many would you hope will be there tomorrow evening?
Well, as I said, you can't predict something like that, but it is happening at 6 o'clock at the Garden of Remembrance. So it's perfect time just after work for people to come out and show support. There's 30 organisations supporting it, and we'll even have the Trump blimp over from the UK, I believe, to get some more attention on the protest against him. So I do see a lot of people coming out, particularly with the amount of organisations supporting it, and obviously I'm calling everyone out now for 6 o'clock at the Garden of Remembrance tomorrow.
You said the blimp is coming over. Do we know if that's been given permission to fly over Dublin?
I don't know personally at this time. I think we'll know sooner or later. But if you follow the event page, Stop Trump, you will see the confirmation on that.
Okay. Now, Chanel is in Glasnevin. Chanel, you're on 98 FM. What did you want to say?
Well, basically, I'm completely against Trump visiting Ireland. I think it's a shame that the Irish state has to basically provide this particular false visit, because he's really only going down to Doonbeg for a night to stay in his property, where it's costing the state 10 million. He also has to, bring all his security here. It's costing the US a lot of money too. Just for a night.
Well, Chanel, that is the nature of the American presidency. We had the same sort of security when Obama was here, when Bill Clinton was here. That's just the nature of the security that surrounds the American president.
But they basically make an effort. That, there's no sign of him possibly visiting the village. People don't know whether he's going to come or go. He's not that type of person to go out and do that. He's a very kind of self-centered person. It's about a photo opportunity, and I completely disagree with all his policies. He's an old man. He needs to move on. They need to basically get rid of him in 2020 and bring in
Mind you, opinion polling would suggest that if the Democrats don't put up some really good opponent, he's going to win again.
That's very true, especially with the impeachment idea at the moment that's going around in the US. They're debating whether it's something that they will need to, will it work for them or not? The immigration at the moment, his Republican Party are against him, imposing the tariffs. So there's an awful lot of things going on that, Trump is a bully, he's a racist, he's a womanizer, he's a cheat, he's a failed businessman. So, he's an old man, he's in his 70s, he needs to get on, and the US needs to move on and be progressive and erase everything that he's implemented.
What does a protest in little old Ireland do to further that cause?
It sends a message to the world to say that we oppose him here for all his policies, all his backward thinking. It's possibly he could be even pushing us into another world war, with his divisiveness, his ideas on immigrants. It's completely what we oppose to, and that's why we're protesting tomorrow.
All right.
This afternoon at 6 o'clock.
No, tomorrow afternoon.
Or tomorrow, apologies.
Tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And finally, very quickly, Tom, I'm actually way out of time, but very quickly, what's your point?
My point is that woman is a disgraceful to be on the radio talking about Donald J. Trump like that. She hasn't a clue what she's talking about. Somebody put up on Facebook the other night, it's costing 10 million to have him here. It's not costing anything to have him here, because the American people are paying for that themselves. And
the American people are paying for the security, that our state is providing. Where did you get that from?
No, they are. They are.
Oh, they are.
Just listen to me for a minute. Don't mind what your government tells you, because it's telling you nothing but lies. And that woman is.
So you're telling me that the American taxpayer is going to send a check to An Garda Síochána for the security being provided in County Clare?
It was on national television the other night that they're paying for their own security, and you can ask Leo that. And apart from all that, don't you forget that 40 million people are living in America that were left here during the famine, and the Americans didn't throw them out, and they're looking after them. And that woman is a disgrace. And anyone that goes down tomorrow and protests against that man is a disgrace.
Okay, Michelle, I'm going to leave the final word to you on this. What do you say in response to that?
Well, look, I know we've seen the fact there. The government has said there's going to be a 10 million cost to the state, and we know in the next couple of months we're going to be talking about the budgets coming up for the government in October. And I know I'd like to see 10 million spent more on the housing crisis, the education crisis, the health crisis. And aside from all of that, people need to come out at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Apart from the fact that this taxpayers' money has been absolutely wasted to support this man who incites hate against so many minorities. We need to stand out tomorrow and show solidarity with anyone who's been affected by his comments and show that we will not stand for that level.
And that protest, 6 o'clock tomorrow evening at the Garden of Remembrance. And Tom, just to clarify, the taxpayer is footing a bill of €10 million for security being provided for President Trump tomorrow? Our taxpayer, not the American taxpayer.
I think you're wrong.
No, you're wrong. Thank you. This is 98FM. Now, on the way after the break. What was your or your partner's biggest ever blonde moment? We're back in a second.
98FM's
Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less.
98FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy, and that man there is Jeremy. Jeremy, there was a bit of an incident over the last couple of days, which I want to mention to you.
Okay.
This happened... this person will have to remain nameless, unfortunately. Because
anytime you say that, it's going to be good. Okay.
Right. This person shall have to remain nameless.
Everybody turning up their radios now.
But the other day, after watching an episode of EastEnders, I was asked the following question.
So is it a male or female? Well, describe the scenario. Are you at home?
It's a female, but that's all I'm saying. I'm not going into any more detail than that, okay?
Okay, so you're
a female...
in your house?
Not necessarily in my house, but, okay this female said to me, and I quote, "Who lives in those houses in Albert Square when they're not filming?" And I said, pardon me?
Oh, like when Ian Beale is in there, who lives in the house?
Are all the people moved out of their houses? They must make an awful lot of money if they have to move out of their houses while they're filming.
So this girl who remained nameless,
yes.
I love her name to be honest with you, she thinks that Albert Square
is actually a real place.
And that people live there.
Yeah. So
when Ian Beale is finished filming EastEnders on a Friday, he leaves.
The family move back in again.
And then the Kennedys or whatever move back in and stay there for the weekend.
Yes. Oh. That was this person's, and like I said, it's so embarrassing. I don't want to publicly humiliate her.
Did you even give us initials?
No, that was this person's biggest blonde moment that I ever remember.
So we want to hear. I have two brilliant ones coming up in a moment from. Is she listening today? What day is no, I don't think she's listening today. My wife actually is blonde, but she has regular, and she's very intelligent. My wife is. She has letters after her name. Do you have letters after your name? No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. Kennedy.
Oh, after
they come after Adrian. Yeah.
She has letters after her name, but she says some very stupid things sometimes. And let me just share two of them with you. So a couple of weeks ago, we bought a telescope.
No, but I do now.
We did. We bought a telescope, and we regularly go up to Tree Rock Mountain to look at the stars. And the first night we went up, we were having a lovely look at the stars through the telescope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my wife turned around to me and said, "Jesus, the stars are beautiful, Jeremy. I wonder where they go during the day."
No.
Where do they travel to during the day?
Really?
Yeah, she did.
Where do the stars go during the day?
Where did they go during the day? And I said,
okay,
honey, they're there. You just
can't see them during the day.
I never even thought of that, she says. Then, even better, I can trump that one, because last week we were in a coffee shop having a cup of tea, and we decided to order a slice of cake with our cup of tea. I think we were in, it was Brambles in Dundrum, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I ordered a slice of chocolate fudge cake. And my wife turned around at the counter of Brambles and said, "What's that cake there?" And the man says, "That's carrot cake." And my wife turns around and says, "Oh, is there carrots in that?" And he said, "Well, yes, there is." "Oh, I never realised." No, in fairness, I didn't realise there was carrot in carrot cake either.
Why would it be called carrot cake?
I just thought it was a name you had for it. I was horrified to find out that there's actual carrot in carrot cake.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know it had carrot. I just thought it was called a carrot cake, but it didn't actually have... Like a plum pudding doesn't have plum in it.
Okay, we want to hear from you about your or your partner's biggest ever blonde moment, where you said something that was just so ridiculously stupid, you immediately realised, or your partner realised, how stupid it was.
Now, in fairness to my wife, and I'll defend her here, I would imagine a lot of people don't realise there's stars in the sky during the day.
Obviously there is. Well, what, do you think they just fly off?
That's what she thought. They go to another galaxy or something like that.
Okay, text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. You can also send us a WhatsApp voice note to 0877 98 98 98. We want to hear from you, your biggest ever blonde moment.
Now, I love this one that's just come in, Adrian, okay? And it isn't just about women, because men have blonde moments as well. My ex-wife, says this person, when it starts off with ex-wife, you always know it's going to be good. My ex-wife rang me one day to tell me that she had a puncture. I asked her, was it totally flat or just a slow puncture? And she said, no, it's only flat at the bottom of the tyre.
Okay, call us right now on 6797 981. James, you're on 98FM. How are you, James?
Not too bad. Good morning, guys.
Hey, James.
James, tell us about your partner's blonde moments.
Babe, cut to the chase. We're into the pictures this night anyway, and I got conversation with people. I said, God, it was a terrible thing to happen, you know, the way she died. And next all I hear is, well, why are you telling me the end of the film? And the film was Veronica Guerin.
Brilliant. That's very good.
Just to let you know, guys, the traffic in Dublin City is pretty bad at the moment. Have a good day.
Thanks very much indeed, James.
We don't care. We're here in work.
Yeah.
The traffic can be at a standstill in Dublin City. We don't care.
Okay, keep your calls coming in. 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. The biggest blonde moment from you or your partner. And we're back with more of your calls in just a moment.
98.
Live and exclusive to Dublin's 98FM, Monday through Friday between 10 and midday. This is Adrian Kennedy. You're with 98FM's Dublin Talks. And Georgie is here with Wednesday's top headlines.
Good morning. Katie Taylor will be honoured with a special event in Bray this Friday. From 6:30 there will be live music and she will be officially welcomed home. Organisers are advising anyone planning to come down to the evening event to take public transport where possible. US President Donald Trump is expected to land at Shannon Airport at 4 o'clock today for a 3-day visit. He's due to meet Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, stay in his hotel in Doonbeg in Clare and play a round of golf. And exam weather is yet to arrive, but the Leaving Cert and Junior Cert has begun this morning. 124,000 students will sit their state exams over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And now you're up to date on 98.
Thanks very much indeed, Georgie. Have you ever had a blonde moment?
Oh, plenty.
Oh, I thought so. Why did I think that? Why did
you even open up this can of worms? How long is the show today?
What's your biggest blonde moment?
Oh, I once on the radio called oars.
Yeah, oars
from a boat.
From a boat, yeah.
Rowers. That was pretty embarrassing.
You let her away with that one.
No,
I've heard worse from you, Georgie.
Thank you very much indeed, Georgie. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks, and that's what we're talking about, your biggest ever blonde moment, and we've all had them. I'd like to hear from you on 6797 981.
No, sorry, Adrian. Someone on Twitter here giving out to you
come on.
About you calling us idiots for thinking it was carrot and carrot cake. Tell Kennedy it's quite conceivable to suggest that there would be no carrots in a carrot cake. Carrots have no place being in a cake. It's a cake.
Have you ever had carrot cake before?
No.
You can taste carrots in the carrot cake.
How do you get the cake? Do you cook a carrot in the cake? Like, how does it work?
I don't know. I've never made one. But you can taste carrot in carrot cake.
But who decided a vegetable should be in a cake? Doesn't make sense.
But they're lovely. Carrot cake is lovely. Yeah. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice note.
Hey Adrian, I'm just ringing in about my daughter Shannon. She does have some whopper blonde moments. A few months ago she had the microwave on with nothing in it, and when her dad asked her what she was doing, she said she was preheating the microwave. Gas.
That's brilliant. Christine is in Navan in County Meath. Hi, Christine.
Hey, how's it going?
Now, Christine, tell me about your sister's blonde moment.
No, we did go through Blanchardstown there to head down to Navan.
Yep.
And we did go through the tolls, and she was driving down and she kept going to the assistance one all the time. And I always said to her, why don't you go to the automatic ones and just throw your money in and the toll will go straight up for you? And she says, I thought only automatic cars could go through that.
Oh, no.
No, the automatic lane where you just fling your money into the basket and off you go.
Yeah.
She thought it was only for automatic cars.
Yeah.
That's a bit embarrassing, all right.
Well, it does say automatic lane only.
Yeah, but why? So you pull up in a manual car.
How would they know?
And somebody's going to jump out and stop you.
Yeah, how would they know it was in a manual car?
They wouldn't. Thanks, Christine. Here's another WhatsApp voice note. Hang on, if I could play it properly. It's just here.
I was once parked in the car with my wife and the engine was running. And she turned around to me and said, "Could you please turn off the engine? You're clocking up my mileage." We were parked.
That's brilliant.
It's quite conceivable as well, isn't it?
No, the car has to actually be moving to be clocking up your mileage.
No, but a lot of people would think once the engine is taking over.
No.
Okay.
Joe is in Clontarf. Joe, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
Hi, Adrian, okay?
Joe, tell us about your girlfriend's blonde moment in Liverpool.
There's actually two, but I'll tell you this one. We were walking down the canal on a nice day and stuff like that. And as we were walking, four ducks came flying in and landed on the canal. And just as they landed on the canal, my girl turned around to me and said, "Ducks fly? Well, can they fly?" I was like, "What? Then them ducks are flying. I've never seen a duck fly." I was like, "Oh my Jesus."
What, she thought they just swim around?
And walk, yeah. that's what happens when you brought up in the city centre.
Well, that's very true. I mean, you don't see ducks flying that often. Because most times you see a duck and you're feeding him a bit of bread or whatever, he's just floating around the lake.
Sorry, I'm going to be blonde here for a second.
Yeah.
Can ducks fly?
Obviously ducks can fly.
Sorry, lads, I didn't know ducks could fly.
Yeah, of course they can fly.
I'll tell you another one right there quick, yeah? I was bleeding the radiators in the bathroom and stuff, and air was coming out, as it does, and then the water came, and my girlfriend turned around and went, "You're going to blow us up, are you?" Because she heard the air. I said, "No, why?" And then the water come out. "But is that meant to do that?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" Because I thought it was gas central heating. I was like, "What?" Because I thought there was gas inside the radiators because it's gas central heating. I was like, "Jesus."
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Love it, Joe.
Very planned.
Come on, Joe. Thanks very much indeed.
Sorry, lads, can I just say,
go on.
I'm 40 years old.
Yeah.
I've never seen a duck in the air, ever.
Ducks fly, obviously.
But where's the proof?
I've seen them.
Really?
Go up to Stephen's Green and you'll see ducks, but you might see one of them.
I know when they hover over the water, they go up a little bit and then they hover over the water and then they land back down.
That's flying.
Well, it's kind of hovering, but I've never seen one like 100 feet up in the sky. Don't think they fly. They're not shaped.
Of course they fly.
They don't have the shaped body to fly, really.
No, they wouldn't fly. They don't emigrate to South Africa.
What I'm trying to say is they're not aerodynamic. A duck has a big fat arse. And little feet.
Yes, they can fly.
Okay.
Here's another WhatsApp voice note.
Just before I was going on holidays with a group of friends, one of my friends said to me, "I'm going to get a moped when we go on holidays." And I said, "How are you going to bring that home with you?"
Oh, that's a very fun moment. Brilliant. Ciara is in Donamead. You're on 98 FM. Ciara, how are you?
Hiya, lads. How's it going?
Hey, Ciara, what's your blonde moment?
Well, it wasn't me. It was my husband.
Okay.
So a couple of years ago, we had a babysitter in looking after the kids one evening. She was probably about 17 or 18 at the time. And my husband being nice to her, chatting away, "Are you doing anything nice the weekend?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm going to Avicii." And he said, "Oh, lovely. How long are you going for?"
Yeah, Avicii isn't a resort in Spain.
No, it's not.
No, it sounds like it's one.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's probably more of a Phil Dunphy moment, really, rather than a bland moment. But yeah, trying to be a cool dad, but not really happening for me.
How long are you going for? I love it, Ciara. Thanks very much indeed. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98.
Lads, a duck crashed into our building a few weeks ago. So it did. It flew into a building. He stayed on the ground for a while, stunned, while his two blood buddies flew around in circles, ages, waiting for him.
Here's a WhatsApp voice note about ducks.
tell Jeremy I was just down in Lucan Village and I was shocked myself. I just saw a duck flying from the wall right across to the other side of the lake. Yeah, ducks can fly.
It is, it's amazing. You know, you work on radio like 20 odd years, and you find out something new today.
Well, you didn't know, you genuinely didn't know that ducks can fly.
I swear on my life I didn't know that. It's something I never thought of, but I'd never seen one before.
No, wait, here's another message.
Good morning, lads. JD here. A mate of mine got married a couple of years ago and went down to Galway for his honeymoon. Over the weekend he decided to say, let's go over to the Aran Islands in the boat. So him and her jumped on the boat, going over the Aran Islands, and halfway on the boat over to the Aran Islands, she turned around and said to him, Pa, Jesus Christ, we didn't bring any sterling with us.
Oh no.
Talk to you later, lads. Bye-bye.
Actually, we have a funny story as well. Many years ago, a man who shall remain nameless,
a DJ
that myself and Jeremy used to work with, we told him the story of having been out on Ireland's Eye that day.
Yeah, we'd gone out on Ireland's Eye on the Sunday.
Yeah,
we'd gone out on a trip on Ireland's Eye. There was a new boat starting, and myself and Adrian took a trip over, and we arrived back in work on the Monday.
Yep, that's right.
And we were telling this DJ. He says, where did you go yesterday, boys? And we said, we were in Ireland's Eye. We got the boat to Ireland's Eye and it was lovely. What have you got for me? What are you talking about? What have you got for me? What are you talking about? What duty free did you bring back from Ireland's Eye?
It's a true story. Then this was long before duty free was scrapped altogether. But
duty free was never in Ireland's Eye. It was never a thing in Ireland's Eye. Can I just tell you?
All right, now here we go.
I'm not sure if you know, but there's a chipper in Finglas that burned to the ground. I sat in the house one weekend after being on the drink, and I sat there for the guts of maybe a half an hour trying to ring this chipper because they do breakfast rolls, and it took me a half an hour to realise that it was burned to the ground.
That's brilliant. Here's another message.
John Ballymoon, my girlfriend thought that Brexit meant that England was leaving the UK.
That's fairly blonde, isn't it? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Brexit.
Yeah.
I would have thought everybody knows what Brexit is, but obviously not.
Oh, just to do, and this is the last we'll say on the ducks. Sure, people go duck shooting, don't they? They're hardly going to shoot a duck in a pond, says one person.
I can't believe you didn't know ducks fly.
No.
Adele, you're on 98 FM.
Ask Adele. Ask Adele to
Hello.
Adele, did you know ducks can fly?
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you only found out 5 minutes ago listening to this show, didn't you?
No, I didn't. Everyone knows ducks can fly.
Yeah, everyone knows that.
Everyone.
Anyway, go on, Adele. Your friend had a blonde moment.
Well, she had one of many, but this is one anyway we remember a long time ago now, probably in the 80s. We were all at a house party, and a friend of ours was there who's a photographer. This rare photograph he got of Ray Charles. He said he looks very strange. He had the eyes, or he'd no glasses on. So he said his eyes look really strange looking. They look like they were sewn down. And she's looking really baffled. But how did he see? He just couldn't get over it. We were all looking at her. We're like, it's Ray Charles.
That's brilliant. Love it.
Here, I'll give you a quick one. Another one of the same girl. She had a date, her first time making spaghetti bolognese, and she laid the pasta out on the plate without being cooked, and she put the pasta bolognese sauce on top.
No.
Because she really was convinced it would melt. That's how she thought. So that was the same girl.
All right, good to talk to you, Adele.
I'm sure she didn't get a second one.
And are you going to name and shame this woman?
I better not. She lives in England, but she's back here, but she'll know what I'm talking about.
All right, love it. Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks a million.
Let's just play a final couple of WhatsApp voice notes. Oh, there you go.
Years ago, I seldom use the car for shopping, only if I need to get heavy things. But one day it must have been rain or something, and I brought the car down, and I'd got a good few bits, and came outside, and it was raining. And a neighbour of mine came along and said, would you like a lift home? And I said, yeah, that's great, because I got more than I intended to get. And she dropped me home. I came into the house, put the messages away, Later on, hubby says to me, "Where's the car?" And I said, "Oh shit, it's down in Duns."
I've actually done that myself. The odd time I drive into work, every other day I get the bus to work. And last year I drove into work, parked in the car park, and got the bus home, got off where I'd normally park my car to discover it wasn't there. Got the fright of my life, thought it had been nicked, and then realised, I actually drove into work this morning. Had to get the bus all the way back into town to go and collect my car. Here's another WhatsApp voice note.
How are you, lads? An ex of mine once asked me, do parrots lay eggs? She was convinced that they just give birth. That's what you're dealing with.
And one final one.
Lads, when I start going out with me missus, she cooked me a pizza in our house and she left the plastic on it in the oven. And when she took her out, everything was melted on it. And I said, what were you doing? And she said, I thought I cooked in that.
Brilliant. Hi guys, says this message. Here's a recipe for carrot cake. And it's like self-raising flour, teaspoons, caster sugar, vegetable oil, grated carrots, 350 grams of grated carrots. And Jeremy's shouting in my ear, that sounds vile. People love carrot cake. Anyway, thank you very much. Huge reaction to that, actually. We've all had a blonde moment. Every single one of us. Anyway, thanks very much indeed for all of your calls. You're listening to 98 FM. This is Adrian Kennedy, and we're with you until midday today. Now, here's I want to have this little debate with you. Is it still traditional for a father to walk his daughter down the aisle or up the aisle on her wedding day? Well, we've had a very interesting email over the bank holiday weekend about this very subject from a woman who wants to break away from this tradition. Here's what Melissa wrote to us on Sunday. I've just had a big row with my family over dinner this evening. I'm getting married in October, and I'm keen not to play into the usual stereotypes that come with weddings. For example, my maid of honour and I will be making speeches. I'm not leaving all the talking up to the lads. After all, it's my big day too. Something else I don't want to happen is to be walked down the aisle and to be given away by my dad. Don't get me wrong, I love my dad to bits, but I just think the whole idea is totally outdated and totally sexist. When I brought this up at dinner tonight, my dad and mum took huge offence. My dad was really hurt and said that he had been thinking about walking me up the aisle since I was a baby. I've asked him to be involved in the wedding in other ways, and trust me, the last thing I want to do is hurt my dad. But I really feel strongly about this and can't go back on my principles just to please him. My sister said that I'm being really selfish and should just do it for the sake of not upsetting people, but I think they should support me in trying to break this outdated tradition. Am I being selfish? Have any other women tried to break this sexist stereotype at their wedding? Now we got this and we just went, oh, I can imagine what the conversation was like in that house. But are you married? Or have you been at a wedding that ditched traditions like walking the bride down the aisle? Do you think weddings are sexist? Here's what we read from one particular website, and it says, the tradition of a father giving away his daughter dates back to a time of arranged marriages, where the giving away of the bride represented transfer of ownership. Back then, young women were used as collateral to settle debts or disagreement with neighbouring tribes, as well as for the father to elevate his status by marrying his daughter off to a wealthy family. Today, though, many brides look forward to having their father walk them down the aisle simply to honour him. I would love to hear from you on this on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98.
98 FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less. 98 FM.
So we got a message over the bank holiday weekend from what's her name? Oh, Melissa. Melissa is her name, and you've heard the message, but I'll just paraphrase it for you. Basically, she's getting married in October. She's keen not to do the usual stereotypes for her wedding, and I know lots of people are like that now. They don't want their wedding to be the same as every other wedding. They want it to be a bit different. So, for example, her and her maid of honour will be making speeches because it's her big day too. But something else she doesn't want to happen is to be given away by her dad. Now, Daddy is really upset. And she says, when I brought this up at dinner tonight, my dad and Mum took huge offence. My dad was really hurt and said he'd been thinking about walking me down the aisle since I was a baby. I've asked him to be involved in the wedding in other ways, and trust me, the last thing I want to do is hurt my dad, but I really feel strongly about this. Everyone else says I'm being selfish. Have any other women tried to break this sexist stereotype at their wedding? Sophie, you're on Dublin's 98 FM. Hi, Sophie.
Hi, how are you, Adrian?
Well, Sophie, what do you make of that? This is a conversation that came up on Sunday evening in this household, and Daddy is not at all happy.
Yeah, well, I don't blame him. It's meant to be a nice thing, you know, between families. Like, and if you have your dad still with you alive and stuff, it's a nice gesture. I think they're reading too much into the whole giving away thing. I don't think it's that anymore. I think it's just a nice gesture, like. You know,
but okay, I mean, you know, a lot of people will argue, and a lot of people do argue, that the reason it is so sexist is it is one man, i.e. the father, handing off his daughter to another man, her husband-to-be. Like, it's as if she's somebody's property. And in fact, that's originally where the tradition came from.
But then why is she getting married if she doesn't want to be, you know, going with tradition? And as I said, I don't think it means that anymore, that, you know, the father is giving someone away. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not here to tell anyone what to do on their wedding. It's their wedding. They can do what they like. Like, if I was ever to get married, I'd have my mother walk me down the aisle, not my dad. So I'm not exactly 100% traditional myself. But
and why is that?
Because my dad wasn't really around for much, and we didn't have that kind of real relationship where I feel it's appropriate for him to walk me down the aisle, you know. Okay,
because he didn't have as much involvement in your upbringing as your mother would have had.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So you're doing the same thing, really. I mean, your dad is still your dad, and the tradition is that a father will walk his daughter up the aisle, but you wouldn't be doing that either.
No.
So, what's the difference? And I get what you're saying about your mother would have been a more hands-on parent when you were growing up, but you're still breaking that tradition.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I assume your dad would still be at the wedding, would he?
Yeah. Still be there, yeah. I just think I wouldn't, even if I was to have my dad walk me down the aisle, I wouldn't take it as his giving me away. It'd be just a nice gesture to say, you know, thank you for being a good parent kind of thing, you know, like more that kind of thing, as opposed to, okay, now I'm leaving you and going to another man.
All right, stay there for a second, Sophie. 6797981 is our telephone number. Here's a debate that is happening in one household in Dublin since our listener who immediately contacts us, which is great to hear, by the way. I love when people contact us to try and debate an issue. Melissa got in contact with us, and so no sooner did she have the conversation on Sunday in the house, everyone went off really upset, and then she took to sending us an email, which is great. DublinTalks@98fm.com is our email address if you want to do the exact same thing. We love getting stuff like this. Rachel, you are married, but your father didn't walk you up the aisle.
Hi. I walked down the aisle on my own. My two junior bridesmaids held my dress train for me, but yeah, I was on my own. I wasn't linked arms with anybody.
Why?
My parents were going through a divorce, and neither of them were speaking to each other, so I felt like, well, I wasn't on good terms with my dad. He was there, and he was in the audience.
Right.
But he didn't walk me down the aisle, and he wasn't coming to. So I got ready in my mum's house, and he wasn't welcome at my mum's house. So there was
it just wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have felt right walking with him in front of my mother. And my mother then, someone suggested that she walk me down the aisle, but I kind of knew the kind of tradition behind it and the original meaning, so she didn't really want to act as though I was a possession that she was giving away. And even though that's not the way it's looked at now, she just thought that I'd be better to walk on my own, which I was fine with.
So, okay, you found yourself in a situation of a family division, Mammy and Daddy not talking, you not getting on overly well with your dad. Had you gotten married before all of this crap broke out, would you have done it then?
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you decided not to have him walk you down the aisle because of what was going on at that particular moment in your lives.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was August. We were just married nearly 10 months.
Oh, right, okay, so it was fairly recent.
Yeah.
And are you sorry you didn't, or are you happy enough?
No, I'm happy with it because I didn't favour anybody. I didn't, I think my dad, although he may have been hurt, I think he understood. And I don't think anyone particularly noticed. And found it, some girls said to me that they kind of found it empowering that I was able to walk down on my own.
Okay, now, isn't that exactly the point of the message that we got over the weekend, where she's basically saying this is such an old-fashioned tradition, and it's not that I don't love, so there's no family issues here. She loves her dad dearly, but she thinks it's an extremely outdated and sexist idea that one man walks his daughter up the aisle and hands him over to the other man.
Yeah.
Exactly. You agree with that, do you?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you look at it, it's one man passing a woman off to another man as though she's a possession. But if the woman walks down on her own, she's walking to meet her future husband from her own single life to join her life with his. There's no other man involved. And that's great that she has such a good relationship with her dad, that they can come to some understanding.
Can I ask you, did you find it empowering, as you said?
At the time, it was nerve-wracking.
I was just about to say that. It must be... it is nerve-wracking enough walking down the aisle, but without somebody beside you, it has to be even more nerve-wracking, I would have thought.
Yeah, it was. But I'm one of those people that just manages to get through really difficult situations. I imagine that some people would find it, something that they really, really wouldn't want to do. That's completely understandable. But if you think that it's something that you'd be able to do and you'd be strong enough to do, then do it. I mean, I'll never look back and feel that I favoured one parent over the other, or, that I hurt one parent on my way by, or whatever. Yeah, I'll never look back and feel like I should have changed something, because it was just me.
All right, Rachel, stay there for a second. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Interesting response to this so far. Some saying this is an absolute slap in the face for this woman's father. But other people actually saying, I'm glad you brought up this conversation because it's something that's been in the back of my mind for a long time. Hi, Adrian, says this message. These girls have no idea. Having only lost my dad 10 months ago, I would give anything to be able to have him walk me down the aisle. I just hope they don't regret it when he's not around anymore. Any regrets, Rachel? No.
Me, no.
No.
I don't think. Myself and my dad's relationship is still very strained. So.
Well, okay, but I hope for you that it won't always be like that.
Yeah. But I know that his relationship with my mother's side of the family, anyway, will never be okay. So, I'm never going to look back and wish that anything was different. Either way, whether it had been my mother or my father. I'll never look back and wish that I had somebody. I'm glad that I did it on my own.
All right, fair play. Let me go to this WhatsApp voice note.
Hi, Adrian. I can't ring because I'm in work. But I'm getting married in 4 months, and of course I asked my dad to walk me down the aisle. I think it's been unusual not to, if she's going to be walking down the aisle anyway, possibly in a church, with a white dress, a bridesmaid, you know, the best man and all that sort of stuff, but then she doesn't want her dad to walk her down the aisle. Like, I'd understand that'd be hurtful, and I think my dad probably wouldn't say much about it, but quietly he would be hurt. Of course he would. It's a big moment. It's a privilege in a father's life to be able to do that, you know. That's my point on it anyway. Thanks.
Maybe what Rachel was saying is a factor in the time we live in now, with families with mammy and daddy perhaps divorced, and they may not talk or they may not get on well, and you have that tension. And why would you pick mammy over daddy? And maybe it's just easier in situations like that to walk down the aisle by yourself. And in fact, I do wonder, for example, my own daughter, I wonder what she would do. Because we're in a situation that I'm separated or divorced from their mother for a long time, and I wonder how that would play out. And I wonder, would it bother me one way or the other? Brian is in Tala. You're on 98FM. How are you, Brian?
How are you, Adrian?
Now, Brian, what did you want to say?
Brian, you've taught us two different debates. Tradition and sexist. They don't go well together, do they? That's either one or the other.
Yeah, well, an awful lot of tradition is sexist, isn't it?
Well, I mean, when you see what's going on today with women about sexist, you can really hardly compare a father walking down the aisle to something like that.
When you look at where it actually came from, and I read this out a couple of minutes ago, let me just dig it out again. The tradition of a father giving away his daughter dates back to a time of arranged marriages, where the giving away of the bride represented transfer of ownership. That's where this comes from.
Yeah, but it's arranged marriages. Is that what's happening with this girl? Or
no, obviously not.
Well, then it's totally different. It's not arranged marriages, and someone willing to marry someone is not in the same context of what you're having a conversation about. Arranged marriages is when is someone a millionaire where the girl was worth something. Nothing is changing hands.
Yeah, you see, I just wonder. When you hear of where it came from, back then, young women were used as collateral to settle debts or disagreements with neighbouring tribes, as well as for the father to elevate his status by marrying his daughter off to a wealthy family.
Exactly, that's where it originates from. But what I'm saying to you is,
but we still do that aspect of it.
Well, no, because that's not what's happening. Because the girls get married of their own accord. Them girls didn't have a choice. So for them women to go through that, and for probably some of them women or some of the relations to sit back and listen to the conversation, that girl has a choice. Them girls didn't.
Okay, so you don't see...
Sexist.
You don't see...
It's up to the girl if that's what she wants. If she doesn't want her father, she doesn't want her father. She shouldn't have to follow tradition, but to put it in the same context as girls that had no choice is a little bit harsh. That's just my opinion.
Okay, fair enough. Kevin is in Ashburn in County Meath. You're on 98FM, Kevin. How are you?
They give me a dress like, how are you doing, Adrian?
Good, thanks, Kevin.
Like basically, look, if this woman loves her father so much, why would she cut him so deep? You know, he brought her into the world. He was one of two people who brought her into the world.
So did her mother, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. He's one of two people. That's what I said. One of two people, and he's cut her deep, and she knows it, and she's still refusing to do the one thing that he's been looking forward to doing since the day she was born. And I can understand as a father of twins, right? Now, that said, what is she going to do in the future? God, if she happen to have a daughter, is she going to stop her own husband walking her down the aisle?
I don't know is the answer to that. I don't know is the answer.
Is this her opinion or is this a joint opinion? Obviously, you don't know the answer to that. But is her husband even aware of this? Is she going to break the cycle and refuse him the same?
Okay, but in Rachel's situation, she's no regrets. It was only last year. Mum and Dad had split up. They weren't talking to each other, and she didn't want to take sides.
No, not that girl. The person who sent in the email.
Oh, sorry. Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm talking about the girl who sent in the email. Look, personally, that other lady, I think she probably made this right situation. She was caught between a rock and a hard place. But I'm talking about the girl who actually sent in the email to you.
In the first place. Melissa was her name.
Place,
Melissa.
So, it's like that woman's cut her father deep, and she knows it, and she still doesn't back
But she
down.
says that why would a woman want to do something that she feels is outdated and sexist? And she even mentions that herself and her maid of honour are going to be making speeches as well at the wedding. It's not just going to be the lads; she's going to be pitching in as well. So she does want to.
Uncommon. That's not uncommon. That's not uncommon nowadays.
But why is it not uncommon then for a woman to walk down the aisle on her own then?
Look, if she loves her father, this is what I'm saying. If there was a straining relationship, as the previous caller suggested, she did the right thing. She didn't take a side. She said she loves her father so much. She knew full well that since the day she was born, this is what he was looking forward to, and that's hard as a father. If she loves him that much, and you can't repair that sort of damage. He'll never look at her the same way.
But surely, if he loves his daughter, he should respect her decision.
But if it's something that she knew full well that this is what he wanted to do when she was an adult, and not hand over, but walk her down the aisle as a proud father, a loving father, and give her away to her future husband and walk away. That's all he's doing. He's handing his daughter and the trust that he has for her husband to him.
All right, stay there for a second, Kevin. 6797981 is our telephone number. Chris, you're not impressed by Melissa and her telling her dad over the weekend that she doesn't want to be given away by him?
Yeah, not really. I think, marriage and weddings, it's a method of healing for families, and all families have problems, but when it comes to a lovely occasion like that, I think convention over the centuries has emerged. Like the feminazi idea of weaponizing issues like that are really sad. The damage it does to families, is ridiculous, And like that girl, she's learning how to be a married woman and how to get married in the fashion that, is, kind of graceful towards a family. And treating her old dad like that, God, I think that's really... And she's probably a victim of the propaganda of feminaziism, So,
but again, I'll go back to the point I was making, Chris, that the tradition where this actually comes from is really outdated. That a dad was giving away his daughter, basically transferring ownership to the new man. And if you think about it, a daddy walking his daughter up the aisle and literally handing her over to her husband to be, it still hasn't changed. Still the same sort of principle.
Yeah, but this is the method of that type of feminazi attitude to the family, to fathers and marriage. Going back into history and, picking things from history like that, that's like thousands of years, that was medieval, that's 1,000 years ago. And then transposing it into a very personal matter in that fashion is really, doing serious kangaroo hops. The human
okay, so you believe that this is really offensive to her father?
Yeah, absolutely. And no fair.
What about the other situation that we heard from that lady whose parents had split up? There wasn't there was no love lost between the two of them. She didn't want to take sides. She doesn't have a brilliant relationship with her dad anyhow, and she decided to walk up the aisle herself.
Yeah, but listen, marriage, as I said, it's a healing for families. It's a joyous occasion. And if you look at a wedding album years afterwards and you see the photographs and the dad and the whole setup in it, you don't know the story, what was going on at the time. But that's a healing thing. It's kind of a memory.
Oh, right, so that lady who was on a while ago should have done it anyhow.
Well, listen, me and you are fellas. We can't prescribe what that lady should have done or didn't do. But I think the attack on, fatherhood and the man's role in the family is quite, weaponising it in that fashion is quite strange.
Okay, weaponising it. Okay, all right. Surely this is a tradition that should remain unless there's some severe family crisis.
Well, the way I feel about it is that the tradition has actually changed.
it's actually not just the father handing the child over and asking the future husband for a dowry anymore. It's actually got to the stage now where it's more personal. And I just think that if the parents wanted to do it, then fair enough. But if the daughter doesn't want to do that either, I think she has to take a stance on this at the same time, because it's her wedding in the end of the day.
And that's the conversation. Yeah, that's the conversation that she had, and she wants to break with tradition on a number of different things at the wedding. I assume she's not going to be wearing a veil and so, over her face and all of that for the same sorts of reasons. All right, so you think it's her wedding? Let her do what she wants to do.
Yeah, I think so. Now, I let my father walk me down the aisle, but it was different for me because I got married a very long time ago, so 25 years ago.
Okay, but you can see how this tradition is perhaps coming to an end.
Yeah, I think it may be. Now, I think it, my husband and I paid for our own wedding, so it wasn't something like our parents were paying for it. In fact, that's a conversation for another day about Daddy paying for the wedding. Let's just squeeze in a couple of WhatsApp voice notes before we wrap this up.
Today's tradition of walking people down the aisle is like the male figure who is supposed to be the father figure of the household, who looked after all the other people that couldn't look after themselves, as in protecting them and stuff, is giving them over to a new protector that's going to look after them for the rest of their lives. And the woman's been saying she's being sexist and stuff, breaking sexism and stuff like that. Well, is she letting her husband to be pick the church and pick the wedding dress what she's going to wear and stuff, and seating arrangements and hotel where they're going to eat the food and stuff, and all the dancing and music and stuff, all the woman's side of it? She's going to let him pick all that, and is she going to let him pick the bridesmaids' dresses, and is she going to let him let a man walk be the bridesmaid or something? No. That's all sexism as well, isn't it? Tradition.
It is. A lot of the traditions around weddings are sexist. And one final WhatsApp voice note.
Morning, Adrian. Sorry, I can't talk. I'm in work at the moment. But if she believes it's a bit of a sexist thing, like, one man handing another woman off to another man, as in, property and stuff like that, why doesn't she change the part of the ceremony a little bit, the speech in it? Like to say, the father to say, look, I raised this child and I protected her and she'll always be my daughter, but I want you to protect her now and keep her safe and work with her for a happy life and stuff like that, take that tradition out of it by using words.
Right, okay. Thank you very much indeed for your message, and thank you all of you for your messages. Interesting conversation. It's 98FM's Dublin Talks. After the break, we'll be crossing over to Kimmage Village with Jeremy, who'll be talking to local shops about what's going on there.
98FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less. 98FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. It's time for the next in our series of Buy Local. It's a Buy Local campaign that we here at 98FM are running, where we're shining the light on the many villages and towns across Dublin. The campaign is to support independent local businesses from many parts of the city. These businesses are the backbone of communities. And here in Ireland, like other countries, life is changing, technology is developing, and we can sometimes kind of lose sight of the importance of our locality and what it has to offer. So over a couple of weeks, we are sending our Jeremy out to discover local areas around Dublin. And today, so far we've been in Donabate and Finglas, but today our Jeremy is Southside.
Thanks very much, Adrian. So today for 98FM's Buy Local, I am on the Sun Drive Road, just at Kimmage Village here, where, it's a bustling village. It's, mid-morning, and there's a lot of business going on here at the moment. And the first place I'm going to go to is a bicycle shop that's been here. Well, we're going to find out how long it's been here for. It's called Wolf Cycles, and it's just on the Sun Drive Road, just across from Super Value at the Crossroads. And the man who's running it, Brian, he's up to his eyes at the moment, so I'm just going to nab him for a few minutes. Brian, I'm very sorry, I know you're up to your eyes. How are things? Good morning.
Not too bad at all.
Wolf Cycles, tell me about it. How long are you here?
Shop's been here since 1984.
Wow, that long. Okay. And it's the one place, when you talk about Kimmage Village and the Sun Drive Road, everybody knows Wolf Cycles, don't they?
Yeah, they do indeed. They still refer to it as Shea Wolf Cycles because the man who used to own the place. So
Okay, so is it a family-run business? What?
It used to be. It's still Wolf Cycles. There's actually no Wolves anymore, believe it or not. So Keith bought it from the last Wolf, Jim, who still comes in to drink our coffee every now and again. So
that's a lovely story. The reason we're out here today is to encourage people to shop local, and we've done several different villages, and we're trying to get across the importance of going local. And why is it so important for a business like yourselves that people from around the area go to you?
We'll try and give a good service, of course, which is very important for the bikes. So, a lot of people they kind of don't even think of going anywhere else, just keep coming back to us because we try and look after them as best we can. So,
earlier on I was talking to people up in Drimna there, and I was telling them that I was coming here, and they were like, oh, geez, I've been coming here with my kids, getting their bikes fixed since they were kids, and they're now grown up and they have kids. So you must have seen a lot of people coming through these doors.
A huge amount, and people even after they move out of the area still come back to us. So I think we're doing all right.
Really, that's interesting. So even though they've moved away and there could be another bicycle shop near their house, they'll still come back to you.
Yeah, we got a good bit of that. So
what does that say?
I think we're doing all right. We try and do our best anyway. So. And
do you know people on a first name basis? Would you know a lot of the customers on a first name basis?
Oh, we would, of course. Oh, yeah, and they know us too. So, and we get a lot of biscuits and bottles of beer and wine dropped in and everything else. So.
And the village in particular, I was saying there on the radio there a few minutes ago that it's bustling. All the shops are doing quite well, which is good, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it is. We're close to town, but we're just that little bit out, and it's busy. It's good.
And that was Wolf Cycles. I'm here for 98FM's Buy Local. Now, if I walk a couple of yards down the road and swing onto Kimmage Road Lower, I think it is, there is a shop here called the Kimmage Party Shop. Hopefully the owner is here today. Hello, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, how are you?
Lyndon, is it?
That's right.
Jeremy Dixon here from 98FM. How are things?
How are things? How are you?
Now, we're out here in Kimmage Village today to talk about the importance of shopping and buying local for 98FM's Buy Local. Tell us a bit about your business. How long are you here? What do you do?
Well, we're Kimmage Party Shop. We opened up in September 2009. So we're just coming up on 10 years now, later on in this year. And it's been very good. It's great village for business. We have a bit of everything here, so we try and support each other as much as we can.
How loyal are the locals around to shopping with you?
Like you said, it's Kimmage Village, but there's a great catchment area, Terranure, Crumlin, Rathfarnham around here. In the early days, it was tough. I'll be honest. It was just recession times, but we managed.
Because of course you started up during the recession, wasn't it? Right in the middle of the... Which was brave, wasn't it?
It was a little bit crazy looking back on it, but we survived, and we've grown year on year, and I have to say things are going pretty well at the moment. So,
do you have a lot of repeat custom?
We do, yeah. We have a lot of faces that we and names.
Okay, because everybody has a birthday every year. They have,
exactly.
There's christenings, communions, all that sort of stuff. Do you get to know them? Would you know a lot of your local customers?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know a lot of them by name. I actually consider some of them friends as well. Over the years we've built up quite a loyal following, I have to say.
And what can local shops like yourselves offer that maybe bigger shops can't, where they don't have that personal touch?
I think it's basically personal service. If someone wants something a little bit late after hours or before opening hours, we can facilitate that. We'll always do our best to try and give customers, what they need.
So if it's a case of Joanne from up the road realises that she hasn't got a 21 balloon for her friend's 21st, and she brings you on a Saturday evening at 5 o'clock, rather than say, no, I'm closed, this isn't going to happen, you will facilitate?
9 times out of 10, as much as we can, yeah. I mean, we're open technically 5 days a week, but often we work 7 days a week, and I've met people here at 6 o'clock in the morning if they wanted to pick something up and bring it down the country or something. So yeah, we'll do our best to help out our customers as much as we can.
It's communion and confirmation time. Do you do much of that, or do you have...
That's a silly question.
You're up to your eyes with that at the moment, are you?
I can't remember the last day off we had. It's just the last month has been practically all communion. Well, not all communions, but an awful lot, yeah. And we've been very busy, thank God. So that's onwards and upwards, as they say.
Now, a few doors down on Kimmage Road South, there is a barber shop that has been here a long time as well. It's called the Regal Barbers, and I'm hoping to get them before they get busy. So let's go into Regal Barbers. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hello.
Good morning. You're having your morning cup of tea there?
Listening to 98FM.
Listening to 98FM, that's the right thing to say. Now, what are your names?
I'm Wendy.
Wendy and
I'm Denise.
And Denise. And this is Regal Barbers.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about the business.
Well, I'm here 20 years in a lovely community.
Now, is the barbers here 20 years or just
no,
you?
The barbers here, it's here more than that, but I'm here myself 20 years.
Because this has been here, is it 30 years? Is it 20?
35 years our mortar shop has been here, so I'm here 20.
Wow, that is a long time.
Yeah, so I know everybody and everybody knows us.
Why is it important for people to shop local?
Because it keeps local businesses going and keeps us all connected, to keep all the little business floating together, and we all help each other out and look after each other.
How is the village? It's quite busy this morning.
It is a very busy village, yeah. It always is busy, you know.
As a village, there's not too many shops that are actually closed down and boarded up. I mean, most of them are still going strong, aren't they?
They are, yeah. We're all going strong all along here, yeah. We have been, yeah.
I was talking to the guys from the party shop, three doors up, and he was saying how great the business community is around here, that you all look after each other.
Yeah.
You know, he was saying if someone needs to borrow till rolls, they'll go into him.
Yeah, I've often borrowed them off him, and he looks after us with balloons, and we look after him with haircuts,
Oh, okay. So that's the way it works.
Yeah.
So what can local businesses like yourself offer that maybe bigger places can't?
We're more personal. You know, we know the people and we have a good relationship with them, a good friendship with them.
And is that important to the customers, that when they walk in?
It is. We're like a little story here, It's like a story, you know, we continue on the last conversation.
Really? That's what it's like?
Yeah, we do. It's like a little storybook shop, you know.
And I think people when they're getting their hair cut, I don't know if men are the same as women, but they like to go to the same person, don't they? So they know.
Yeah, they do.
I thought that was just me, but it's not.
No. We all they like us doing their hair all the time because we give the same cut.
Right. Now, what can you do for me? Not much.
A little bit, yeah.
Really?
I trim your eyebrows for you.
Yeah, you can do. Okay, I'm off to get my eyebrows trimmed. Thanks very much, girls, for talking to us.
Thank you.
So there you have it. 3 different businesses, all providing completely different services, but all with that one common goal, as you've heard, and that is to provide a service for the local community, to keep it local and to keep their local customers happy, which, as you've heard, is their bread and butter. It's the return custom that keeps them in business. For 98FM's Buy Local from Kimmage Village on the Sundrive Road, I'm Jeremy Dixon. Back to you, Adrian.
Thanks very much indeed, Jeremy. That's it from us for today. We're back again tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.
98FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less. 98FM.